And we are back once again on this auspicious day before everything else happens.
No kidding. We got a bowl that is super and a day that is Valen.
Yep. Which means nothing to me because it's D&D day. That's the thing I care about. I am Andy. I am the organizer of chaos here on Trick Roll. We are down one player today, but we still have two others who are just as good, if not better. I am not trying to make comparisons, but these are the two who have been with me the longest. Make your assumptions based on that.
I can't be Kyle. He's got the suave going, and I'm just looking like a cartoon character. Yeah.
I know he brought more class than this game has ever had, yeah. even with all the classes we have. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The fact that we're having to meet a king, another king tonight, I'm just like, I'm pulling out all the stops. I hang out with Jylith all the time. I've known Jylith since even before he was a king. As a matter of fact, I was there when he took the kingdom.
And now, when he became a king, ran away from his subjects, took over another kingdom, and then had the other crown stolen from him by a friend. You know,
it was borrowed with intent to return at a later date that is yet to be determined.
Because the queen is running from her subjects, who are just like chasing after her. The blue one.
That's why I
miss those old episodes.
Yeah, a bunch of lizard can pass it, painting themselves in blueberry juice.
Yes. But hey, let's go ahead and tell people who you are now instead of reflecting on last year's game. Wow, that was a year ago.
Don't date us. Don't no. Even if
we are timeless.
Oh, yes. Where's that filter that makes me look younger? Touch up my video feed. Thank you.
See, I'm just immortal.
There, let's set that touch up my appearance to max and done. See, I got no wrinkles.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be standing here with warts and all because I've looking like as if I am Vecna.
So anyway, Kyle, have you introduced yourself to the world?
Hi, I'm Kyle. I go by Flint Ewid756 here on Twitch when I am able to stream and my liver is not trying to kill me. I am playing Joseph Lucerno, who is a Soul Blade rogue, who everybody constantly looks at and goes, "How do you know so much about the Arcana?" He also has a false leg. Well, he has a Modron's leg now. That's now his leg. It was freely given. Actually, yeah, it was freely given by the Modron.
Yep, it was a spare part.
Yep, because he needed a leg up in life. But thank you very much.
Thank you. The snipers are on their way.
I was wondering why there were laser dots all over the place now.
Yep, they're just waiting for the nod. Go, go, go. I'm tired of this.
Take the shot. Take the shot.
Oh.
But yeah. Now let's move on to Jesse, who is possibly the reason why everybody watches this show. Let's move on to the true star.
I don't want to put that much pressure on him, but we've definitely gotten that note a few times.
Yeah, we have.
Thank you so much for that, Kyle. Hi, I'm Jesse Crump, also known as Crump64 on all levels of the internet. I am continuing my reign of controlling the dragonborn fighter / sorcerer known as King Jylith, who's ready to get swanky with many nobles and kings and other worthy bros.
Yes,
dude, we're an Iron Rook. We can't get that schwanky. If anything, you'll do better. You'll do better to pretty much be able to be able to drink the king under the table if possible.
Well,
Challenge him to a drinking contest, and he'll just be like, "Yes."
it's not that quite that level of barbarian, but yes, Iron Rook is a mountain border kingdom now, because somehow these two managed to wrangle themselves an invite to the ceremony where King Atticus Rook will be officially taking the crown. He is a warrior king who cares more about military might and the fact that his city, his lands are stable and not falling into chaos all the time. So we are picking up as you are basically you know in line to be properly brought into the castle. There's been some commotion over the past couple of days. Like, for example, there is apparently been a security breach on the outer wall, not because someone was breaking in, but because someone broke through a weak portion of the wall on their way out. Uh, Rumors say something about it might have been a werewolf because they just heard, the word wolf being screamed for like, if it were a comic, it would have been like 8 panels, just wolf,
Oh,
and then some crashing sounds.
gotcha.
Note to self: if we ever get our turtle back, ask him about that.
Well, actually, it was because Wolf Lobo broke himself free and retrieved his axe.
Right.
Yes, one of my favorite NPCs, Wolf Lobo, got arrested after getting into a fight with some random dragonborn in the street. But because Wolf Lobo has the Stonebreaker axe, he was able to, well, once he got himself out of the stockades, broke into where they kept all the confiscated weapons, probably took a couple extra things, but then used his Stonebreaker axe to leave the city through the non-gate.
It makes sense.
Yes, it does. Anyway, but back to the actual moment. I take it that you've gotten yourselves presentable for the ceremony. Gyleth in his gleaming armor is always presentable.
Yes.
Joseph, I don't know what you were doing for the party.
I was just really well oiling my leather armor of smoldering, because just like my good looks, it needs to smolder as well.
Oh, I am not going to reward you for that line. So you're there. There's somebody who's complaining very loudly that they're not allowed in. Apparently, as far as being a noble goes, if you lose control over whatever it is you're in charge of, your standing goes down. So, you know, somebody who apparently once ran a prison mine has lost favor and is not invited into the party. Apparently got bumped for some other king. But, that's anyway. So you get in, you are asked to check your weapons.
This is a weapon check.
Okay, no. So we need to. You can't bring it in with you. You can leave it here, and we'll give you this card.
I hand him the ginormous SOS sword.
And let's just see if, it's going to take like 2 of them to properly move it.
I was afraid it was just going to become the table.
Well, it does make it creak, but they at least have a good counter. But then, yes, like they have to move it to get it set up. It falls. They have to put it on a stronger stand.
But after Gyleth does that, Joseph comes up and he starts off with just first his 2 rapiers, and then he opens up his jacket and he pulls out 2 daggers.
I knew
Then
it.
he checks his and then he checks his boot and he pulls out another a couple of arrows, and then he hands over a bow, and he just looks between them all, and then he goes, actually, because his player needs to check his sheet for one more thing, just in case.
Joseph, you dropped your maw energy. Here you go.
Just wondering why I wasn't experiencing a crash right now.
Yes.
I swear every time I forget to bring that up and you just sneak it in.
That's why you just
Oh.
always have like a little just off to my right at all times
Yes.
now.
As well as a crowbar and a set of thieves' tools, and then a couple of water skins.
They're
Oh,
confused
and a
by
short sword. And a short sword.
okay. They were starting to get confused because you're handing them non-weapons, but they're just going to assume that there's something about them, so they're going to put those aside. And then comes another sword. Right. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. You get tag number 47 as they put all that stuff away.
Huh, oh, well,
So
that's nice. At least it wasn't number 69.
I'm taking your maw energy back. Thank you.
But I need it. I need it. Otherwise I start having the sugar shakes, and I need it to not have those.
Fine, you can have your maw energy drink where you can sample into any size of water bottle, and therefore you can sample the ways of having the true ways of energy on the palm of your hand without the use of the usual caffeine crash. There you go, Joseph.
Thank you. Is this the apple one, or is this the wild berry?
It's green growl because I like green.
Yee, that's apple.
because he likes to live dangerously with his green screen.
Yeah.
I
So they all-
have Blue Buzz, but I also have Rip Hombre because it tastes good. You know, it's
yeah. I love that pause.
yeah. Like, no, I was one of the last people to figure out what Hombre was and what was going on with all that.
Oh yeah.
So I honor him with an energy drink.
All right. So we're making our way in.
Make your way into the castle. It is when you get there, you are announced. How would you like to be announced to the party?
Well, we don't have Scanlan, so
There is a person who will announce you. You just need to give them your proper title.
I imagine Gileth will, of course, give King Gileth a tour, and unless Joseph protests, and his royal assassin.
I don't think we should tell them that off the bat, but if questioned, I'm just in a very uniquely
I can imagine, and his royal assassin. Everyone's heads turn.
Actually, fuck it, let's do that.
Presenting King Gileth Ator and his royal assassin, Joseph Lucerno. And yes, what was going to be a handful of people who, stop to acknowledge you, becomes a few more people who stop to acknowledge you.
Just kind of standing behind Gileth, just like,
don't be behind me, you're making it worse.
And as you're standing there in that awkward silence, each of you sees at least one noble that you have heard a rumor of. I want each of you to tell me who it is you see.
Ooh, I see.
They don't have to be from this kingdom. It could just be someone you've heard of. You don't have to actually know them.
I see a bald-headed bard who is a duke. By the name, yes. He just goes by the name of El Duce.
El Duce.
Duce, yeah.
Okay. And what have you heard about him?
that he has many, many illegitimate children spread throughout his entire duchy, and that because of this, it could at some point erupt into civil war should he die. And many mercenaries are trying to get in on that because there's a lot of coin to be made.
And Jylith, what rumored individual have you seen?
The rumored I've heard is an elven king of an elven empire of the forest. I think he goes by Aeduin Bejor. But then for those who do not speak the elven tongue, he just goes by Lord of the Flies.
And what rumors are what stories surround him?
The most of the rumors is where it is there's stereotypical elven empire where it's like if you are not a pure elf, you're not welcome here. And even to the point where you are shot on sight if you step foot in in his kingdom. So it is of a severe displeasure for him to be in such an establishment. So his needs there must be very necessary.
Nice. Yes. And along with that, there are a couple other people. Why does somebody have to try to text me now?
That's me, just letting you hear the name.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my brother had also sent something.
Oh.
But his was a different messenger. So okay, but thank you.
Two messengers come at once.
Yes. Thank you for updating on me with the name. That actually does come in very handy.
Yes.
Because I absolutely have the ability to use an arrogant elf somewhere in my world.
Yay.
So, but in addition to that, as you're making your way down, one of the nearby tables, which has a large amount of food on it. Oh, let me set the scene properly. There's not so much like an elegant dance ballroom going on. There's a large spread of food from every culture because different cultures have, like halflings tend to like very, very sweet food, whereas, the elves, especially the purebred elves,
Yeah.
they're going to have some of the bland, more natural foods. In Ironrook, because it's a cold mountain town, the food's usually so spicy that you can cough up a fireball afterwards, or at least a fire bolt if you hiccup. So near, piled up on one table, is a lot of food, as a large Goliath is apparently having a heated discussion with a gnome who is sitting on his own throne with clockwork legs so that he can be at eye level with this Goliath. And that is going to be, let me double check their names. Lord Cogsplinter. And he is currently debating with Professor Bone Smasher, who has the largest amount of food, but he is currently eating like some creature that had very large bone-in ribs.
Goodness.
But you make your way into the party. There are different groups spread around, talking with each other. Some people are eating, some people are talking. Then you have the usual sycophants that are just hanging on. There is some wait staff bringing around food and drink. So if you want a
Gotcha.
drink, you can grab it. Along the walls are guards who are wearing large robes that are designed to make them all look like uniform height and completely hide their figure. So no one's really sure, what the guards are capable of, because they all look like giant mannequins right now.
Huh.
But the king has not yet made his appearance. What would you like to do?
I point out that one of the wine bottles has a bugbear label on it, and I go, "That's new."
Yes, this vintage comes from Sigil, actually, and it has become very popular recently.
Joseph, why don't you smoke?
My armor does.
Right. Sorry.
Because
I take two
somebody was just
glasses
about
and-
to throw some water on Joseph when he said it was his armor. It's like,
yes, because I imagine just
It's
in-
like you're double fisting 2 large bottles of red wine and just about to pour them on me, and I'm just like, "It's my armor."
yeah, so I grab two glasses and then just hand one to Joseph.
Oh, thank you. I was starting to get a little bit parched. Start sipping it. Wow, this is strong. But not as strong as the energy kick you get off of Maw Energy.
and remember, when you buy a Maw Energy using our affiliate link below, you're supporting the show. You can also buy trick rolls for players on our Ko-Fi account, also linked below, which we actually still have one in the pool, if I remember correctly.
yes, we do.
So,
But yeah, I'm.
but if
going
you're done with the
to,
plugs,
Yes.
I'm, no, I'm never done with the plugs. I'm not fully charged.
I knew those come. I'm having a read on Kyle where I can see disaster incoming, but I can't stop him in time.
hi, welcome to running this game with you two.
All right, so my one question is like in terms of like I know like everything's scattered. Is there like assigned seating like at these like any of these tables, or is it just like you find a chair, it's yours?
You can find a chair because there's a lot of people aren't even sitting down, but yeah,
Okay.
it's did you see the Witcher when they had that? Okay, that's sort of what it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's there's no assigned seating. This isn't that formal of an event.
Yeah, I figured, but I thought I asked because the last thing I
Which
want
is
is
probably where King Edwin, I can't pronounce it already.
just say
Edwin,
Lord of the Flies.
yeah, he's probably the least comfortable because he's used to sitting and being served. And
It's
now
like there's
this
no
is-
order here.
yes, this is like a buffet.
Yeah, exactly. He goes to buffet and complains he hasn't been served for 30 minutes.
Yeah, people are actually having to bring him food, but because of who he is and how arrogant he is, he's making like 5 people stand there and hold plates for him. I mean, even among the other nobles, this was a level of just these poor servers.
I am so tempted to just act like one of the people who brings food around, one of the and just steal something off of that guy's wrist, because dear God, the level of pomposity.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they can't lower their hands. They always have to have it where he can easily grab it. So they have to change out every now and then because people start shaking, and he is actually in the middle of throwing a fit that someone didn't have his sesame seeds on hand when he wanted them.
Oh my lord.
God, are those the lightly toasted ones that are like
No,
just
he didn't want these cooked. He needed raw sesame seeds.
Oh, this man.
And there's an
Always.
interpreter because he refuses to speak the common tongue. But that doesn't mean that his Elvish isn't harsh and loud as he's berating someone, which is then being translated into common.
And so
Oh.
as we're just like marveling at this spectacle, I just imagine
There's a
Joseph-
young man with tears running down his face as he's trying to hold the plate while being screamed at. He rolled a 1.
Nice.
I'm going to come up to him, and I'm just going to take the tray from him, and I'm just going to wink to Gylith as I do so. And I'm going to stand there because I speak Elvish and listen to this pompous jackass of a king, just berate everyone.
Oh, well, the moment you come over and do that, he turns. Is this man trying to assassinate me in front of everyone? Were you not introduced as a killer? Be
I just,
gone. I will not have any more of this food that has been tainted.
I wouldn't be able to do unto you anything that you're already not doing to your character on your own, sir. And I walk off with the platter.
Jarlis is on a chair because he's only heard rumors of this guy. Because unfortunately, while he was a knight, he did not have to deal with him. But other knights who had the unfortunate dealings with him, whether it was business or escort, Jarlis is like, the rumors are true.
Yeah, everyone is again silent as Joseph is just walking away. This elven king is so irate he can't speak. His already pale complexion from probably having never actually seen direct sunlight has gone even paler. He's
So
the color is just drained from his lips, from
so
how angry
Kyle, do
he
you
is.
still have the plate?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I'm sashaying. I'm not even walking. I'm just
There
sashaying
are
away.
just so many people who are restraining clapping, but only a couple. You have single-handedly embarrassed this man. I mean, to a point where your standing just rose several notches from this alone. Professor Bone Smasher is actually raising a cup to you. Lord Cogsplinter is a little more aghast, but he's still taking a drink.
I will. If there is a wine glass on this platter, I am going to lift it up and, like as if I am freaking Gatsby in The Great Gatsby, just return the salute back to Professor Bones Crusher and just
Numerous people are coming up and getting a hand of sesame seeds and just eating them right there.
Yes.
I mean, let's put it this way. The man who basically ostracized himself because he was only here because, it was he needed to be to save face. He's now the laughing stock. I mean, just nobody's even hiding it anymore. So making note of that.
Oh boy, there's gonna be a roast of this guy if we're not too careful.
Yes. Yeah.
oh dear God. Oh dear God. I do have. Oh man. That does make me think that I should start rolling stealth to continue to fuck with him.
Here's the thing, Jarvis won't stop you. Me as a player is just like, we're here on business. We're here for business, not pleasure.
But this would be a business proposition. Think of how many people we could ingratiate ourselves with by just this. He's already, come on, he's already put his entire character inside of the noose, and he's he's standing up on the chair. Just let me kick it out from under him just a little bit further.
Joseph, you convinced me. But at least send me a signal if you have to run for the hills.
Oh yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Joseph, an actual server will come and take the tray from you, but they are just, please allow me, sir. The smile can't be hidden, as they're like they can't say thank you, that was fucking amazing, but you can see they want to say it. So it's they take the tray from you, they hand you a fresh glass.
I actually nod to this man in approval, and I set it down on my table and I go, "That is for you, sir. For when your shift is done, I keep it here and protect it from anyone else."
He's very thrown off, like that's not allowed, sir, but thank you very much, and then just hurries off to continue his job. So as the laughter begins to slowly, and everybody gets back to, now talking about this event, but not too loudly among their different groups. Do you do anything else dramatic for the next 5 minutes?
Surprisingly for Giles, no, he's just looking for like he's just scanning the room constantly, just looking for like possible allies, because because for this endeavor he knows like we could use like any any helping hand, and it just knows like he knows his kingdom has not had like any allies for whatever reason. Why would that happen? So it is where it's like he is here to like if anyone who's willing to hear him out, say, hey, we all are suffering, be an ally, we can solve it together. But it's where it's like, Halsey knows like one person who's not the elven guy.
Yeah.
Because he won't step foot in our area.
Roll me a perception. Joseph, you can do this also. It'll be a combination of what you see and what you hear, depending on.
That's I rolled the net 20, so that's a 23 total.
Okay.
I got a 16 as well.
All right. So you see people from most different parts of the world. There's obviously a few local people that you may or may not have different familiarities with, but there's some lion folk who are in fine silk jackets. They're off, to one side, sort of mingling. There is someone who you hope they're just a very feral tiefling, if not a full-blown fiend. But also, I mean, like goat legs, some fangs, skin is a combination of red and black that you don't know. Is this tattoos of one color or the other, or is this just natural markings? But she has several people around her, and she's not currently flaying anybody for fun. So wherever she's from, she's on her best behavior. Joseph, Gilith. Now there's only two of you. I'm going to mix your names up.
It's gonna happen. It's inevitable.
Yep. Because you got a nat 20, you can hear snippets of the different conversations, and I'll let you pick which ones you want to follow up on first. Bone Smasher and Cog Splinter are apparently debating something about you hear Cog Splinter saying that is just outdated technology, and there is a reason why it was forgotten. We are talking, my good gnome, about tried and true magical ruins. And just because the civilization fell does not mean that it is unworthy of bringing back. And that's kind of how their conversation. And while he says that, he literally bites through the bone and everything on the ribs, earning his name, but speaking in a very refined manner for a Goliath. If you want to use Grog as a standard Goliath.
Yes.
Over on with we're just going to call her the Tiefling because we don't know. That would be the politest way.
Tiefling.
Yeah. Is speaking about the war front is always continuing, but we have had a bit of a lull lately, which is why I was able to come to this. We do hope that King Rook will be an ally in such things, but he is also far removed, so we will just have to see how such things go. And which languages do you speak? Because most people are trying to speak Common, but you have a few people who do speak in their native tongues.
As of now, I know Common and Draconic, and I'm double checking. Did I pick? No, I did not pick the spell to understand all languages.
Okay. Like I said, most people are speaking Common, but like I said, you have a few, especially the uppity ones, who refuse to speak. But you also hear the lion folks who are like, yes, we have noticed these towers along our lands too, but they're usually far enough out that no one has any direct claim on them, so no one's really worried about it. It is interesting to see the same architecture here, though.
I know they're not trying to be offensive, but Jarlath takes a bit offense on that. It's like, they're not affecting anyone. So he can maintains composure on that
Yes.
statement, but he makes note of that.
And there are some people who are making reference, especially to the Lord of the Flies, about his particular country is known as the Alvalian Thriocracy, and he is just one of the representatives, but it is entirely elven controlled, and as Giles pointed out, they don't like anybody who isn't one of them. Like, you have to be elven pedigree or you are instantly their enemies, and it's almost a shock that he even came here.
Yeah, and whenever it's brought up, it's like, why don't you work with other people? They'll bring up like whatever history book where they were either double cross or is like, so like even the smallest insignificance and another race has done to them, it is written down and documented to where it's like when it's brought up, they bring out scrolls.
Yes, he actually has a bookkeeper. Basically, he's got a librarian with a bag of holding ready to pull out. Oh, yes, 5,000 years ago, your people betrayed us at the Battle of, and then goes into something like, we weren't even a country then. It was your people. You were all the same.
It was documented right here. And so it's like he's ready to win any arguments when his history is questioned.
Wait,
Yep.
So what I'm gathering from that is I am now in the annals of an entire nation's history.
There's just an asterisk and an added note under Royal Assassin under Dirty Dragonborn.
Giles, just because your kingdom is currently in another plane of existence,
Yeah.
when you were introduced, what kingdom did you say you were the ruler of?
Not a good time to forget my own kingdom's name.
Well, it's had two of them so far, so that's why I tend to ask.
It was the city of Thieveston was located in Navalia. We hadn't changed the country's name, but you were also the king of the lizard people.
Okay.
I don't think the kingdom of the lizard people will get me any leeway in any arguments.
Especially since there's massive hordes of blueberry painted lizard folk running.
Well, even then, if I say like I'm the king of the lizard folk, they'd be like, makes sense, but then that's it.
Yeah. I just wanted to see if you were still the king of Evalia or if you had chosen another name. Okay.
I would say Evalia.
Okay. Because you are now, of course, sworn enemies of the Alvalian triocracy. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's not a position of honor. That's just add them to the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
you sneeze in his direction, you hear the sounding of an ink and pen.
Yes. There is a scribe who is always on hand writing in a massive book that has to rest on the back of another person because it's too heavy to carry. Oh, these have just become my favorite people already.
Yeah. This is what you do when you challenge me to improv.
I'm so tempted to just steal the book and completely rewrite their entire history.
Oh, I mean, this is like, that meme where somebody's reading a book that's this thick?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. It's not that comically large. It's huge, and somebody literally has to wear a brace, like a back rack, and carry the book so that the scribe can write on it and keep
perfect
notes.
picture of that.
Oh my god.
So to walk away with this, you literally have to step in front of someone and pick it up. there is not enough high enough stealth to justify this unless you can black out the whole room.
It's saying, do you have darkness prepared?
Well,
But
But
other
then
people
it would raise
are
suspicion. Darkness over precisely around the people that everyone wants to see and mock.
uh sorry, that was just his own thing. Scattered around the rooms are cleansing stones, which are stones that have been enchanted with prestidigitation. So Lord of the Flies is just basically near one. Every time he has to touch something, he touches that, just burning through its energy to keep himself clean.
Oh my sweet Moses.
But for most people, it's like when you get up to get more food, you just walk by the table, you touch it, and then you get more food. Because this is a medieval feast, and while people aren't slobs, well, there's a few who are bordering on it, but it's still there's not strict decorum here.
Yeah, we've not reached germ theory yet as a common knowledge yet, but we're getting there.
No, it's more about just keeping the stains off of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or like I said, if you're an absolute noble, think I touched something immortal to touched. They do not have my grand fey ancestry. Oh, and God's help you if you bring up the fact that some researchers have found that goblins are originally from the Feywild also. Yes, many lower creatures are from there, but they do not carry are they like a distant cousin? You have become a sworn enemy of my people.
Oh, I love this. We're building allies and enemies within seconds.
I'm just going to sleight of hand. I'm just going to sleight of hand. Every single time that this guy reaches out to touch something to clean himself, there's going to be a very small yellow mustard stain at the end of his cufflink.
Okay, you can do this, but you're going to do it at disadvantage because you've already kind of made yourself a person of notoriety. So it's very hard for you to stand near him.
10.
You are instantly seen dropping mustard on him. And after
I'm sorry,
another
it's
rant,
these sausages. It's these sausages.
I almost imagine him just put it on a spoon and flicking it like it's a catapult.
They're just so long and filled with their own internal juices that when you bite in, it just goes everywhere.
all right, Joseph.
I want to do a deception check. Can I please do a deception check?
You have to do that at disadvantage also with an even higher DC.
17.
Okay, so no one believes you, but at the same time, the people who are amused by it are like, oh yes, that is known to happen. You really do need to keep a napkin to cover it up. They're trying to. It's a sort of thing where you're not trying to agree, you're just trying to add into the joke.
Yes, I must learn how to handle my sausages much better in polite company.
The problem with recovering from COVID in this game is that I am going to be coughing so much. I'm trying not to do it into the microphone. I don't want to spread my germs throughout the internet. So
that's what 4chan is for.
Anyway,
Joseph, you are basically escorted away from the elven royalty. And it is essentially, if you come within 10 feet of him, is going to result in violence.
I've only been here 20 minutes and already I could have started an international event.
Yes. It probably would have.
The last thing I want is to Andy just pull out the board game Risk and saying this is what the game has evolved to, and we're on our own. Andy, no.
I was thinking I was going to go with the game Diplomacy, And then I was just going to pull in some random people online to be the royalty. Because if we hadn't been coming into the ball, the dinner here, had a few people I was going to invite for guests, but there was just too much story to try to bring in new people.
Yeah.
Remember, if you want to be a guest player, we're on Twitch. We're on Twitter at Trickroll. Be one of these people in the future and declare war.
Oh
Okay.
no, I don't want to be like who we are war with in this episode.
Then why did you bring Joseph to the ball?
Yeah, this is how
the
it
banquet.
begins. Our
Literally,
guest stars,
the message
guest
Archus
enemies.
left for the group was don't start a war, underlined 3 times. That's what Joseph's
It's not a
starting
war.
to do.
It's an international incident.
That's what
It's
war
not a war.
is.
This
This is not a bland that is polite enough to call it an incident. It is, we are going to wipe these people out, find out where this Evalia is. I've never heard of it. They're probably making it up.
And it is like, I've never heard of this place. The moment we find it, we will make sure that no one else ever hears about it.
Yes. So let's just say that he's definitely going to be your enemy in all discussions going forward. And he's I am sorry about that. I swear I took some sinus medicine. And yes, I'm still drinking Pedialyte. I hate the stuff. It tastes terrible.
All right, so now I can add the Lord of Flies to my enemies on my D&D Beyond character sheet.
More through association, but yes, you are not keeping your royal assassin in line. Like everyone knows you bring an assassin to these things, but you're not supposed to introduce him. That's why some people respect you. Is like he's outright saying he brought his assassin with him. I only brought my spies with me. Yes,
Yeah.
they can assassinate, but that's not their primary job.
If anything, gives him Joseph immediate recognition. What he does with it is up to him.
Yes. Joseph decided to use his recognition to be annoying. He's like, I think I will start problems on purpose.
I can not only kill you physically, but I can murder your character.
Well, of course,
It's
this
like
this gentleman, gentle elf,
Mhm.
believes that you are the one who is ruining your reputation. Fortunately, the people who support King Rook the most are not the most diplomatic people. They just don't want to go to pointless wars. They want purposeful wars.
Now that I have had my fun with the elf, I'm going to go have my.
No, you've
fun
not.
with
There's
the-
still time.
Oh God!
Yes, but he might get called to a duel if he does anything else. Remember, that's allowed in this land.
Oh yeah. I imagine that's just part of entertainment.
Well, I will say for the record that if you call someone out to a duel, it has to be for a good reason. Partly because, one, you don't know who's stronger than you. The lords always assume that they're the strongest one, but it's like they go around using heavy-handed, calling out duels. You're going to ostracize a lot of people. You might find someone who is stronger than you. So if you don't do it for a good reason, no one's going to want to be around you because you're Homer Simpson slapping people with the glove left and right.
I forgot that episode.
I can use so many classic Simpsons references. So yes, if there is anyone who just keeps a dueling glove on hand, they don't have many friends because they challenge them all to duels. But if you do turn down a duel, it's you're basically admitting you're in the wrong. Again, unless there's a very good reason, like you can point out this person has already been accused of 5 crimes, and now he's accusing me of 1. There's always a loophole, but if you do it in front of the king, you better be prepared to fight to the death. Joseph, if you do this in front of the king, be prepared to fight to the death.
I'm not going to be the one to bring it about. I'm just I have tact. I have grace.
Really? When?
When
He
I
just like it's like
sashayed away from that bitch with his food.
I thought you were gonna go like, when do you have tacks? Like here, and he has like a handful of tacks.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. At least he didn't try sneaking those into the food.
Fudge.
Anyway,
The
this
night is
would
still
have
young.
gotten worse, but an attendant calls out, His Royal Majesty, General of the Legions, ruler of. Oh, shut up already. Nobody cares about titles. King Atticus Rook comes out. If you don't know who I am already, then you just showed up for the food anyway. So let's go ahead and let's cut through this. You are all my guests, he says with a few pointed glares. Under tradition, I expect everyone to behave as proper guests within my home. That being said, continue. He sort of stops and thinks about that, but he's already said it.
At which point I will walk up to the gnome and the Goliath, and I will just raise my right pant leg just ever so much to show off the Modron ankle,
Oh,
and I'll just be like, "So, gentlemen, I hear say that you're quite interested in technology, yes?"
Well, first off, congratulations on the proper upgrade. Although it does look like that one is a little bit rudimentary. Perhaps we could design you something a little bit more fanciful. Uh, he's already drawing up sketches of a much more complex leg. Uh, and Professor Bone Smasher will say, "Well, it's not so much technology as I am a professor of anthropology, and I was studying some of the runes out in the what is now colloquially known as the wasteland across the mountains." And he's beginning a long speech about this lost civilization, and the gnome is interrupting him. It's like, and there's a reason that no one makes magical weapons like that anymore. Sir, no one makes magical weapons anymore. We have lost most of that technology and it must be rediscovered. We can make things that are better than magic. And then their argument starts up all over again.
Sirs, what? Pray tell, tell me, enlighten me about this civilization and why and its downfall, and maybe we might be able to come to some form of agreement between you two as you educate someone such as myself, a layman.
Well, the short version is that they are still discovering who these people were. They did appear to be giant folk, and they used runes to make magical weapons, mostly from the bones of larger creatures. Uh, and they just don't know too much about them. But the part of the downfall might have been something to do with the fact that the entire area is so frozen that even the Alistar country doesn't make their way that far into the mountain range. The only things that can live there are monsters that will either have scalding hot blood or completely frozen themselves. And this debate is basically, somebody saying magic has its way, is something to be studied and brought back. And then this other one's like, nope, technology is far superior. We are developing new ways to do things that far outshine rudimentary magic. And that's the short version of their discussion.
At which point I will come in as a voice of reason and go, cannot you meld both together to create an arcane technology that could benefit both worlds? by pushing the bleeding edge of technology, you then push the bleeding edge of magic to its very limits.
And Bone Smasher will agree with you. It's like, yes, that is exactly what I have been trying to say. Most technology is building off of this former magical based technology. And then the gnome is like, yes, but the clockwork design is what reinforces and requires less magical energy. Magic is merely a power source. It is not supposed to be just thrown around like so many people tend to. And their debate just begins all over again. This is
Oh,
one of those,
see,
this is an academic discussion. There is no answer and there will never be one.
it's funny that you bring up magic and clockwork and the reinforcement therein of the clockwork cogs, because I have been close to these towers that have appeared in the southern regions. They have a cogwork to them that spins a vast crystal on top, and they appear to be draining magical energies from the areas that they are in.
Oh, that's very interesting. I did have some rudimentary designs for a energy battery. It is based around uh, the Kyber shards or the dragon crystals, as some people like to refer to them. And he begins his own uh, theoretical discussion that is slowly getting away from your topic.
I'm just going to try. I'm just going to roll an intelligence check to see how much of this I'm going to retain, because I'm
Sure.
I'm betting that this guy is pretty much like me whenever I run into something that I'm really passionate about and it goes on forever and ever and ever.
Yep, that's basically it.
Oh my god. I rolled an 18.
Okay. Uh yeah, you are you're really understanding a good bit of this. Basically, the way he's talking about it is that his technology uses crystallized magic as a power source to keep everything running. In this case, it sounds like he had some ways to contain magical energy so that way it could be siphoned off for another uh to be used in other ways. So that's what he thinks this is.
I'll allow this conversation to just sort of die off into the background while we let Gilus shine now, because I want to see what you do with this.
I just wear like Gilus is just to the moment like, hey, speak to the tiefling or speak to the the lion folk. And then it's where it's like, well, I like to
In the
play a
back of
little.
in the back of your mind, you hear Gilus' voice. Speak with the tiefling.
And he just goes, oh, okay. So he just goes to the tiefling.
Yes, this would be. Let me find her. Uh, now, because she has a tiefling name, it is when she introduces herself as Baroness. Long list of consonants that is hard to pronounce, but you may just call me Baroness Lakefire. It is the closest translation into a common tongue.
Well, nice to meet you, Baroness Lakefire. I'm King Giles of Tor.
Ah, it is good to meet you as well. I do not believe I have met you at any of these events before.
You haven't. This is my first time, actually.
Ah, well, what brings you to the kingdom of Ironrook, Lord Ator?
To put it simply, I'm from the kingdom of Ivalia, and essentially, we have been a self-contained country, and we have no allies, and we are in desperate need as for there is a possible calamity upon our kingdom, and we have stayed neutral for as long as possible, and seeking out for anyone who is willing to lend hand of a possible apocalypse, so to say.
Okay, roll a charisma or a diplomacy check, whatever you think that is, and you can roll that with advantage.
We're going with persuasion.
Okay.
Well, Kyle, I found your 69. I got a 6 and a 9. There'll be 11 total advantage. But before that, I'm gonna do a trick roll.
Okay, roll that trick roll.
Come on, trick roll, please.
Come on, one.
That's a 1.
Fuck
The dice god saw the 69 and just went, "You're gonna keep that."
For clarification, everyone, a trick roll is a 1d4 multiplier. So Giles gets no bonuses to his 11. Like, so what resources does your kingdom have to barter with?
Quickly, like going as far as like, see. So
pumpkin spice. We have
yeah, I was
pumpkin
just saying,
spice. We have
like,
the best
yeah, of
pumpkin
course we're gonna
latte
say like
ever.
the pumpkins, but and then also it is where it's like he's also rethinking everything in that castle that he just doesn't use. so he will state the library that seems endless. He'll state, like, of course, like the like assortment of unicorns, if that entices anyone.
You have a stable of unicorns.
Yes.
We hunt them on the regular.
I'm just going to do a roll for her. Well, Lord of Tor, perhaps you will invite a delegation from my lands and we can go on a unicorn hunt and discuss this more.
I would love nothing more.
Why do I see them as like being a power couple because of that? You have
I can't
unicorns that I
wait
can-
till it's like the it's a full-on copyrighted song as you just see SOS swinging that unexpected unicorns.
What?
Okay.
No. You remember the old advertisements they used to have for Super Smash Bros. When it came out?
That's exactly what I'm getting that from.
Yeah. I'm just imagining Gilith and her majesty just wandering through meadows, just slaughtering unicorns left and right.
Okay, so I
Dude,
made
to
a note.
clarify any new viewers of Trickwell, Giles doesn't hate unicorns. He is haunted by these unicorns.
Yes, because Evalia is basically a small country, city, state, whatever you want to call it, originally from the Shadowfell, currently located in the Shadowfell, but spent a bit of time on the Prime. And Giles lives in a haunted castle that is always testing him.
Yes.
Test his patience, test his wisdom, test his sanity.
I just realized what I was saying. It's like, I'm gonna get a lot of hate because I'm gonna see him as just a unicorn killer, and I'm just like, I'm not against unicorns.
No. He's actually has quite a few of their heads stuffed on his wall.
If
Yeah,
anything, he
making it
loves them
better.
quite enough.
Hey, and does everybody know the best way to cook unicorn?
You bless it.
No, that's not right. Rare. You cook them rare.
I was going with the herd of unicorns called the blessing, so that's what I was getting with.
And that was a good one, but it actually beat mine out, but I still had to continue the joke.
Yeah, but that's still good. Yours was just like the teacher, like, you're all wrong. The correct answer is
Yes, that's what I was going for there.
Congratulations, you're all fired.
You have failed this test. You will not pass in life. The correct answer was rare. You cooked them rare.
Your belongings are in the box in the hallway. See to it.
Yes.
As rare as my sanity is when it's actually active.
And of course, the best part is, to have the horn on a hoagie.
Is she just sharing this information? This tiefling is just sharing how much she
No,
knows.
this is Andy making
okay,
because
I thought like we were just having a discussion about the hunting and preparing a unicorn.
No, she actually probably
this is
does
canon
have.
now. I am making this canon now. This is the one thing I will ever request on camera in front of everyone. This
Okay,
discussion is canon.
I'll put it this way: the Baroness did not say those things. This was somebody else in the area who was,
Yeah.
having this conversation about what do you do with the unicorns, King Giles?
Yeah. If anything, I imagine this was a conversation starter to anyone within earshot.
Yes.
So it starts a discussion with anyone willing to add to it.
The dandelions are going to come over. I was really waiting to see if anybody caught on to that one.
Yeah.
Like, you hunt unicorns, you say? What do you?
Well, I don't exactly hunt. They can be a bit of a nuisance, I'll say. Think of them like rabbits in your gardens.
And this has everybody's like, overabundance of unicorns. I've never heard of such a thing. Like,
One of those
there's
moments
like,
where
I have
normally I would
actually
be
often found them to be quite the pest.
this is one of those moments like I normally when I say things like this, my character's lying for their teeth. Like, no, I'm just regaling this history.
Yes. Giles is talking about how I was just trying to have a peaceful midnight snack when suddenly a unicorn burst through the wall and I had to chase it down.
And everyone's just like, what kind of unicorns are in this freaking kingdom?
Yeah. So
Burst through going, oh yeah, followed behind by rainbows and sticky taffy clouds that were just consuming the tableware.
I'm running down to my PJs, trident in hand.
yes. So let me add the dandelions to this because people are interested in Evolia and they want to know.
We're regaling the history of Evolia.
Giles, give me a performance check for these stories. Again, you can do this with advantage. You've got people's attention now.
All right, so here we go. All right, that'll be 18 of regaling
18.
our history.
Yeah, people want to know about Evolia. You've got quite a few people asking you questions like, where is it located? And not everyone is from this plane. So if you tell them it's in the Shadowfell, that's not going to be too weird. It's going to be unusual.
But imagine as one person think, oh, I was there last Saturday. my dear beloved went down the wrong path and found herself in the ways of the Fell of Shadow, and therefore indeed we had to recover her. And we're just like,
We may have passed by her.
It's like, don't worry, she's alive and well.
Yes. That actually was one of the lion folk who was telling the story.
It's just a moment where just like Giant thinks like there's no one's gonna be on our side. Now he's just like, everyone wants to know more about this messed up place.
I did not see this coming, but you picked the right people to talk to in the right way. You got Giles just has a group that's just ever growing surrounding him. It's like, and you say that she had trapped a dragon and you threw her out of her own castle.
Well, I didn't exactly throw her out. I hit her with my sword and she went through the window.
And this was how the game of golf was created.
Oh, yes. We have a similar game where we take our prisoners and we hit them with malice to see how far we can fling them.
And thus we invented jousting.
And thus croquet came about.
Oh, that's better. That's better.
Yeah.
You see, we would set them up in the courtyard and the archways over which we could get them through. This was how we scored points, especially if you managed to get them through several at the time and hit the pike at the other side. And once you hit the pike, you then had to do it all the way back.
Yes. In
Please
my
tell me one of the
lands-
dandelions is smoking a pipe on the other side.
Yes, they are. It's green and kind of flowery at the base.
Of course.
It basically it looks like a buttercup pipe. Like, yes,
Perfect.
we have some similar games whenever we get attacked by the red caps. We will, uh, after we beat them into submission, we will put them into a catapult and see how far we can fling those little buggers.
Given the current issues on this plane of existence, they could make it into actual buggers.
I
We
just
are
want to
drawing a
say,
crowd, and I love it.
yeah,
Everyone's regaling this messed up pastime.
yes. People are leaving the Elven King to come over to this conversation. It's now him and his hangers on only.
He's
You
a bit
have
angry, if one can say. Sorry.
no, that was. I mean, it's not like you could make him any madder. But yes, everyone is here talking to Gilith. The people who are from other planes of existence are sharing similar stories, even though some of them are quite horrified that you would hunt unicorns, but apparently they breed like rabbits in your land, which is very
Yes.
strange. You got some people who are definitely interested in that. So I just don't have anything I can add to that scene, guys.
And
I
that's
feel
good. I think that's a good way to just like
yes.
we have a good discussion amongst various parties.
Yes. Gilith has, I mean, so far, Baroness Lakefire is definitely interested in coming by for the unicorn hunt sometime. The dandelions are just overall curious about you. You believe that they're from the Feywild originally, so
Yeah.
but they're willing. They don't seem to take it as your mortal enemies for being in the Shadowfell, because after all, the Feywild is kind of a screwed up place in its own way. I mean, they 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 launch red caps out of catapults for fun.
Yeah.
But if you know anything about red caps, this is totally justifiable. Those are little psychopaths.
Oh yeah. Are you okay, Kyle?
I'm just a bit verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, since we can't add anything to that scene, it's going to go on for quite a while though, because but just Gilith, you tell me, where do you transition from that conversation?
I imagine it's basically just as it is where it's like, as it's like it's a good time to like disengage from there. He basically just said like, and as a reminder, I'm Gilith the Tor,
Mhm.
and it's where it's like, as I'm grateful you're interested in our kingdom, our kingdom is in possible peril, and I could use allies, and it's where it's like I cannot offer you gold, but I can offer you like within like the tales of the land, like I can offer you a visit and you can have share of what you desire.
So, in exchange for defending your kingdom, we would get a part of your kingdom.
I am willing to negotiate anything. If you wish for a part of land, wish for trade, wish for parts, even the very bricks of my castle, whatever, I'm willing to negotiate.
Oh well, in exchange for your kingdom, we will defend your kingdom.
No. Rights to hunt the unicorns.
Yeah, they'll hunt. They can hunt ever till the day. All right, he will offer a hand to shake.
That's what you just agreed to give up your
No, don't,
kingdom
don't.
in exchange for them to
They have to
defend.
be successful.
If we can successfully defending your kingdom,
As it return it to its normal plane, I'll glad. This is where it's like, as a player, this is where me is saying, like, I love this arc of King Giles. I'm to the point of like, if this saves the kingdom, I'm willing to pass on the kingdom.
Okay, so the kingdom is back in the Shadowfell, and if they can return it to the material plane, you'll hand it over to them. Yeah, Andy just wants to understand if that's what you're going for, because technically it's where it belongs from a certain standpoint.
Right. All right. Let me do a better term of phrase.
Okay.
Save the kingdom. Then it's where it's like Giles will gladly pass on any responsibilities to anyone else because they are the better ruler. Because Giles knows like he had his fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's now he's now been overwhelmed to the point where he's done. Like it is no longer worthy the weight of responsibility.
Okay.
And it is where it's like knowing that people are going to be like, oh, we'll lose our kingdom, and it's just like Giles just want to get rid of the ruler. He did not think through the whole plan of like becoming the kingdom for this long.
Well, the Baroness will say, I will happily take over the mantle if it is too much for you. It sounds like it is contained within the Shadowfell. What exactly is the threat against it right now, aside from the unicorns?
And that's where Giles will account the towers. It seems to be sucking the very magic around, and it is where, since they have no proper defenses, it is impenetrable, and it seems to be they lack the means of destroying it.
So if we destroy some of these towers, are these towers in the Shadowfell right now? Because again, if your kingdom is in another plane of existence, I don't see the peril.
Giles would just like pause for a moment and look, and just looks.
I know this seems petty, but the people there seem to be suffering, and I see what these towers are doing is doing nothing but harm. And if there's anything that I could do, is rid of this harm. And I am powerless against this thing. And I'm reaching for any level of help as I can.
Well, King Giles, I will happily take over that burden of responsibility. And she actually pulls out a contract that she can fill in right quick. Just sign here, and you will no longer be king of Avalia.
And it is where that's where he just looks at the paper.
We sign when the job is done.
But how can I protect your kingdom if I am not able to administer over it?
Like I said, I'm willing to pass on the kingdom to someone I seem worthy. Those are my terms. If you do not agree to these terms, then I have no reason to have business with you.
And to be worthy, we merely need to destroy a few towers in the area.
And return, and in the back of Giles' head, he hears and return it back to this plane of existence because it was originally here when you obtained it.
He will listen to said thought and then regale that.
These are my terms.
Okay, I'm making notes.
And it is upon which, if you wish, if this is truly something you desire, this is not a good time to try to force anything. I say this out of utmost respect.
Yes. Several people are very interested in it, and they are breaking away to talk to their various factions about, okay, we need to destroy these towers as quickly as possible so that way we can own this kingdom. I don't care if it's in the Shadowfell, it's still a kingdom. We'll figure it out. So
as a player, I'm just like, finally. Because it's like I love this reign. It's getting to where like Giles is no longer compatible.
I'm not going to say anything about it because
out of character, I'm just like, that is the noblest thing for anyone who is a ruler to admit, that they are just like, I have done my duty. I screwed up. This kingdom needs somebody more worthy, and the way that they prove that they're more worthy is by getting it back to the plane of existence.
And you know what? I've got so many secrets about this place I might never be able to fully play out, but it'll but let's just say that Giles has kicked up an even bigger stir right now as everyone is trying to figure out how to do this. Because I'm just making notes of what all's going to happen. Oh, well, what people are going to start trying to do.
Yeah. So that's where it's like if anyone's like, like we'll agree on these terms, and he'll just end with like anyone like as he's making his way back to his chair, it's just like,
If the job is done, we can negotiate. Those are my terms. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
so he's just like and it is where it's like,
Yep.
anyone who's willing to do the job, he let them have it, but it's where it's like he awaits proof
Mhm.
the job is done.
Oh yeah, that is spreading quickly.
Yes.
I mean, we won't role play out all the conversations, but yes, that's just rippling out throughout
Yeah,
everything.
it's like become like an open job where it's just like it's not appointed to anyone. Anyone can do it. They just need to prove it and bring it world. Like is where it's like the proof that the job is done is return it from a realm. So
Mhm.
it's that moment of like we could be the ones.
Oh yeah, there's the Elven King when it finally gets back to him, like he's one of the last people to hear about it, of course.
Yeah.
But sure enough, he's demanding that the librarians start pulling out books and they're secreting themselves away to start going through the lore. Um
We went from risk to just us. We are now just trying to take over Australia and Australia alone.
yes.
Because you know what happens? You get Australia, you've got only that one area that anybody can enter into, and then suddenly you just build up and up and up and up and up and up.
Exactly. So imagine the entire world now. We just reduced it down to just one map.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Again, I don't know where to go from there, so I'm gonna say that's happening.
Yeah.
Andy can't top that. So
and it's where he'll just go back to Joseph and he just where
I'm sure you know everything that had happened. All I
I
ask,
I can't disagree with what you're stating because it's a noble cause. I mean, the only thing that we do is that we can do is try to better the livelihood of our people, and if that means that we no longer are in control and somebody who's able to actually bring them back and do the glory that they were, so be it.
Dean, I'm grateful that you understand my point of view.
I just wonder if they realize that me being appointed royal assassin means that I kill the royalty, not that I am used by the royalty.
Well, you did. You've not killed the former princess, but essentially you have been quite the nuisance on her to her.
Oh, it's because it's more fun to just torture her.
Yeah, it's like the analogy of the cat playing with a wounded mouse. If you kill the mouse, then you got nothing to play with.
Yeah, and plus, the more times that she comes after us, the more times that she has bits that get replaced. It's kind of like knowing how well you're doing by watching somebody just constantly try. You run into the brick wall, and
Yeah,
then, one moment it's their hand, the next moment it's their leg. What next?
yeah. And then imagine the next time that she tries to take back the kingdom and she sees
and he'll point to the tiefling.
and that in the throne room awaiting.
who's about 7 foot tall, goat-legged, winged.
It's like
I
the
hope it's her that wins this. Oh man.
Oh, should we play? Let's not make bets. But I kind of
No,
want to
no,
do, but I gotta restrain myself. I know I kind of do, but I gotta restrain myself.
I'm not gonna jinx this by making bets. I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. But
So
We have created quite the rat race. I'm excited.
and the only thing that actually is going to be negative about it is, well, I don't really see any negatives about it because either way, somebody who's able to protect them better than us is there, and then on top of that, that creates a conflict for the kingdoms to actually unite around as well, and
Indeed.
it makes everyone stronger.
Yes.
Jarlath didn't think that at all. He's just agreeing, and it's just like, yes, 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 I did this, with this in mind, yes.
Although we have to make sure that before we leave, we grab Yeslik out of the dungeon. Or would you rather just keep her there for safekeeping?
On the
As if I don't
condition
like
that
your
get to-
silence.
on the condition that I get to keep the bell for the rest of her natural life.
You know she's going to retaliate on that sure notion alone.
I just look around the room and I'm just like, seriously? I have just made an elvish king look like a dumbass. After that point, if I'm constantly bickering back and forth with her over over a bell, that is the top part of my life. Going from insulting a king and getting praised for that to having a forever war with a fellow thief over a bell. That's great. My life would be complete. I would be legendary.
Good. And also, I'm glad that at least people are willing to hear my cries, because if they were going to offer like any kind of expenses, like all I have is a cough drops and a coupon for Wendy's or free Baconator.
Baconator.
Yeah, we don't even have them here. It's just been I found it in the castle. And it's been torturing me because it says it's going to expire soon, and we don't have them here.
El Luce was in earshot of that. Baconator, you say? What is this Baconator? It sounds amazing.
I can only go off by the picture, but what I can tell, it looks to be just slabs of meat and cheese and just a pig fat just everywhere.
And he is like, get the royal cooks. We need to try to recreate this. He doesn't care so much about the kingdom. He wants to try to recreate a Baconator off of a picture.
Because whether this is a Shadowfell or Fey Magic just messing with them, I imagine it's like, here's a coupon for this delicious food you can't have, and it's just torture.
But he's going to be over talking, go to like the cooks are at the buffet, you know, because each one is wanting to show off what they've made.
Yeah.
Like, can you do this? Cheese and pig fat, and I think this would kill you. I'll get right on it.
It's like 1,000 calories per bite.
I suspect the orcish cook will have the best bet on it.
Because I imagine they just have pigs just on the meat hooks ready to go. And it's like,
Yeah.
you want the fat?
You want to smoke the fattiest part of the pig
Yeah.
to the point to where it is just like
I think bacon is something that's understood already, but
I know, but it's just where there's got to be
yeah.
some kingdom. It's just like, what?
yeah, that would be the Elven Kingdom. It's like, oh, he wants to eat the what of a pig?
We just toss that out. Why do they want that part of the pig?
Yeah,
because it's the tastiest. It's all the belly and
but
the
you just
fat
see
and-
you know, like a proud orc chef who was like, you know, he didn't even stand near the food. It was his sous chefs that were there. Somebody's telling him about it. He's like, pulls out the giant cleaver, starts sharpening it. Let us get to work. And you just see him head back into the kitchen.
I'm almost forgetting we're here for King Rook and this entire endeavor, and I'm pretty sure everyone else is starting to forget.
Hey, I think he is very entertained by everything that's going on right now. Because this is just like the delegation you have to have sort of thing. But people are not fighting each other. In fact, there's some competition going on, and
Yes.
he likes competition.
Of course, he likes
Them.
competition. He has the name of a chess piece. I've been holding that in for hours.
Okay. So just a quick recap. You've alienated an elven royalty.
Yes.
You have arranged for everyone to start trying to destroy these towers and bring a Nexus city back into this plane of existence so that way they can rule it. And there's an orcish cook who is trying to recreate a baconator.
Yes. We've
off
done
of a
good.
picture.
A picture of a coupon from who knows where.
Oh. And
Why
here
does it
we
say it can
thought
only
you were
be
going to
redeemed?
start a war in the worst possible way.
We were we were getting there.
Yes.
I will admit.
Oh no, I figured this. I thought for 2 weeks this was going to be Kyle walking in and insulting King Rook. Instead, he manages to go against the one nobody else liked either. Like, out of that triocracy, this was the king who got told, you have to go there because we don't want to deal with it. That's the level of his king status. Yeah. So
I imagine the elven lord. It's like, couldn't we just send retainers there? I want to step foot there. It's like, sir, if we're gonna do this, we have to do this our own. But I don't wanna. In elven.
Yeah. So yeah, you've definitely gone a route I never expected, because now everyone is like, they didn't think anything of these towers, but now they want to destroy them all.
Yes.
And I love that Arceus, before he had to take off this week, he had this whole plan where he had done an amazing role to study he actually paid to go to the library one day and did things properly, got the actual books he needed, and understood spell syncs and had some ideas, and was going to go try to look at one in person. And now you're just like, there's gonna be armies rolling up ready to blow these things to hell.
With different colored banners and
Yeah.
and all these things. He's just gonna be there like holding books. Oh.
Yeah. Guys, I've said it before. What do you do next? I mean, we can wrap this up at any point because you guys have done so much more than I expected. And I do know that today is foosball day. But
Yes.
so we don't want to stay too late. But how do you guys want to continue?
I don't know how we can top that. I mean, the only way that we can top that is if we manage to get the king to initiate a drinking contest and we won somehow.
The way I
Bunch of
see it is like
slovenly drunk nobles.
Yeah, because the way I see it, like Giles will gladly sit down. There's a way it's like anyone who wishes to speak with them, where I am. So
Yeah.
just where it's like people can ask questions like, where exactly is the kingdom? Shadowfell, you can't miss it.
Do you rule all of the Shadowfell or just part of the Shadowfell?
You go downtown and then you make a left, and then eventually you'll find a bunch of fences with a bunch of skulls on there. You're getting close, so you want to keep going along that trail. There might be a series of giant toads. Their name is Henry and Garfunkel.
And then he'll just like lay out the direction. So like it was like, as a way to feed out, like for those who don't have a way to get to the Shadowfell, they obviously like, if you can't get there and you don't know how to get there, I can't help you.
It's like once you get to the Shadowfell, these are just common directions. This is like when you go to a small town and you ask a local how to get something. Oh, you want to drive down that road for about 20 minutes and you're going to see a brown cow. You're going to want to make a left at the cow.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it's like it's just like he's just feeding the information to the best of his ability, and just like if that helps or doesn't help people.
Yeah. People are they don't understand, but at the same time, Giles is saying this with such confidence and surety that no one wants to admit they don't understand.
Yeah, they're just like, oh yes, of course, yes, that makes perfect sense.
Make
Thank
notes
you.
of that. We're going to wow. Okay, guys, you can continue to role play for fun. I mean, because I think that in the next 10 minutes you could probably start something else off. Or if you want, we can consolidate what people are going to do and kind of jump to the ramifications of what Giles just set off. Because I will do a couple of rolls right now and then tell you what happens a week from now.
Let's do this.
Yes.
Let's consolidate and get the ramifications. Let's see how much of a god of chaos Gileth has become.
I imagine some people like, oh yes, Jalith, and I'm just like, you're not worthy if you can.
Yeah, someone comes up, King Atler.
I imagine this guy just walks away. It's just like
Lord Atler, Anteater, Adiator. Okay. So we're gonna say that do you stay in the material plane or do you return to the Shadowfell? Because you have to kind of get the portal at the right time of day when two shadows are crossing an open grave, but you can kind of go back when you want to.
I would say like we would make the attempt to get back to Shadowfell, because whereas like we still at least need to be present to make this deal happen.
Yes.
So it is where I imagine it's just like Gileth will just like find way, gather his team, return to the Shadowfell, and it's where it's like
you kind of go back to check on things once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can jump from the material plane to get news back to the Shadowfell.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So when you go to the Shadowfell, last time we were there in game, everybody was a lot more lethargic. Basically, Withers he's getting some of his energy back. He doesn't have to walk everywhere anymore. As his only explanation is that the well has been slowly refilling. Apparently, it has become energy has been gathering more quickly in the past week since Gileth made his declaration, and that's all he really says about it.
And
If
if
you want to get more information, I'll let you roll for that. But
yeah, the way it's like, oh, it's filling up quickly. There's like, and just like knowing like whether it's the actual reason or not, he just like, gee, that's fascinating. Really, what could have caused that?
Okay. News from the material plane is that what started out as just a bunch of people, like, for example, Lord Cogsplinter brought some gnomish artillery and started shooting at towers. And I just say that the gnomes kind of kicked this off because they tend to have the most unstable weapons. And that's,
I imagine that even if they're prototypes, there's like, no, we need them out in the field.
Yeah. So it started off there. And some people were trying to go subtle, but it didn't last very long, because once people heard about the competition, it became destroy these things as quickly as possible. So that resulted in a number of things happening. First off, when people just started, the first few towers explode in just a shower of magic, wild magic, particularly everywhere. But that's just a few towers. They were apparently being seen all over the world, and because people don't know exactly what it's going to take to get this town back into the material plane, means that they're just going hog wild and attacking all of them. But they are starting in this region.
Yes.
Eventually, different levels of Modron are there to defend the towers, and it becomes a battlefield. You even hear a report about one tower that was just being swarmed by goblins until it eventually exploded in its own magical energy. I made several rolls, so I'm just going to say this is what happens when you lot are exposed to the chaotic magic. Okay, we're going to start with Joseph. I hadn't fully worked this one up because I thought this was going to take longer. There's going to be more that's going to happen, obviously story-wise, but Joseph, that Modron leg is now a functional leg for you. Like you can move the ankle and everything. You have a certain sense of feeling through it. And unless your healing is done magically, you're going to basically, like, if you get a cut and you let it heal naturally, it heals metallically. You are, I don't have the specifics for it yet because this is going to be an ongoing thing for you. But let's just say you have Modron Constitution now. I will let you know more of what that means as if it continues to be a thing. But that leg has been fused into your leg.
I was waiting for it to be like, I'm a real leg.
No, it didn't take on a life of its own, but it's
That's what I
like
was waiting for.
what was already like a very unpleasant looking wound that he basically had to wrap up when he was changing the bandages. The
Yeah.
flesh has fused into that bit of metal, and it is one thing now. Gylith, you you know, I wondered how I was going to go about this one. We're going to say you're just presented with this knowledge that you now have what is called a domain core. You are the Lord of Evalia, the Death of Hope. You can place this core somewhere in the material plane. Where you place it, your city will basically grow from. And you need to put it somewhere that you control. Like you can't just walk into a major city and say, this is mine now. You have to earn the right to control it. But let's say you go to like a broken down village that everyone's abandoned, you could put the cord there and your kingdom would sprout up. It would just be smaller for having taken on a smaller location. But you know something else about this. You have to defend it against anyone who comes. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If a challenger shows up, you will be brought back because you are the lord of this domain. And we will go into more of that if you decide to use it. I suppose you can attempt to abandon the domain core, or you can try to hand it off to someone else if you choose. But because no one has actually brought your city back to the plane, this is a power you possess. Now, as far as other things that are happening in the world, it's getting weird. I will also say that wherever you go, you possess one other piece of knowledge, and you can't explain how you know this. Basically, you control the well of chaos. Well, control's a strong word for it. The well of chaos is a part of your domain. But speaking of chaos, there's apparently one entire town that was abandoned, and now the inanimate objects are living there. People don't know what to do about that because every time they try to go back, they get chased away by furniture and a stove that can spit out fire and its pet frying pan.
Please tell me there's a very posh sounding clock
Uh,
and a
Pe-
bardish candlestick.
You haven't heard about those particular reports yet, but I will say that the frying pan usually does have bacon and eggs that kind of have like a face-like look to them. But no one has been able to stick around long enough to really. This is just a rumor. Yeah, much sooner than I expected. You guys blew up magic. And you managed to do it without a direct confrontation. I mean, some of the towers are still there, but Now they are actively defending themselves, and that's making it harder for people to do anything
Yeah.
because the armies of Modrons are coming out and fighting. But yeah, you are a domain lord, and you'll get to figure out what all that means in the future.
Yes.
Do you want to reset your kingdom somewhere in the world, or do you want to leave it in Shadowfell?
The way I see it is just where it's like the job isn't done yet, so he will just yield anything until he's until he's satisfied.
Okay. So as long as it's in the Shadowfell, it's static, and you have this thing that's essentially it's soul bound to you. The core will always be an option you possess until you do something with it.
Agreed.
And yeah, this is a weird spot to kind of leave it on, but you guys found the weirdest solution to this puzzle, which was send everybody else into battle. There are definitely people, who are looking for Evalia, but because nobody can make the claim that they brought it back, no one can. And I will let Arshis know what happens to him when he gets hit with a surge of wild magic.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to slowly work on some of these ideas and try to build up something a little bit more concrete for everybody, but you beat me to it.
Yep.
But I kind of like keeping it vague until you guys do more and we figure out exactly how everything's going to, because we're jumping much further into the story than I expected, as we're now in the magic explosion stage.
I feel like we have activated cheat codes in this video game. It's just like,
yeah.
Everyone, allies, send.
It's sort of like, I use the Soul Reaver game. It's supposed to be open world, but you have to achieve certain goals to move on to the next boss. You just use a cheat code to gain a couple of the powers early, and now you've jumped up like 5 bosses.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Wait,
I need to kill these 5 people, but I can go straight to here.
Did we just speed run the entirety of like the
Yeah.
Well, toolless. We would be technically classified as a tool assisted speed run.
Yeah,
because we're not doing it ourselves.
You found the hidden dialogue option in Fallout. Instead of having to actually fight everyone, you set all your enemies on each other. And there is one other thing I am going to say. This is when you're in the material plane. This is sort of like a notification to everyone. The gods speak as one, more or less. There is an imbalance in magic. In order to rectify this, changes must be made. Those changes are going to be varied, but one of them is absolutely that more magical dungeons are appearing. And I will just say that some of them are absolutely connected to the swarm of goblins that were attacking one of the towers. Prepare yourselves for the bugger dungeons. And I feel that's the best place I can leave off.
Yo, yeah.
We created the bug room. We created the bug room, the kingdom of the buggers.
Yep, I get to unleash all the remaining buggers as demigods running their own little dungeons. Guys, I only had a couple of ideas for that, but there's gonna be so much more chaos in the world. Grimthorn, I don't know what's gonna happen with him, but you've really offset his plans. I'm sure that'll be fine. After all, he can't directly link it back to you. But hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I know this was an interesting adventure. It certainly was for me.
Yes.
You saw, as they put it in, as Colton in my other game, Romp Through Ravnica puts it, you solved my magic tower puzzle. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on anymore. You guys beautifully upset everything I was planning, which is, you always upset what I've got going on, but you do it in such grand ways that I can't argue with it. Yeah. I'm Andy. I'm warped_films here and on Twitter. We're also at Trick Roll. If you want to join us, because now we've got so many open spots for guest players as this world is going through its own wild magic surge. I mean, not just the continent, the world. I am going to shatter it in such wonderful ways. And it makes it great for guest players, because you don't even have to be local to be affected by this. Who are you, and where else are you causing chaos in the world?
Let's start out with Jesse, because I think that there's no way for me to ever be able to top Fun tonight. And I literally have created a demigod with one of my characters.
So I am Jesse Crumb, also known as Crumb64. You can find me on many levels of the internet through Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, under the name Crumb64. And in terms of current things I'm working on, I've been working on art in terms of my merch store, but also I'm continuing my current D&D campaign, which is known as the Lovely Lady Crumps, which is an all-female cast D&D adventure, which is currently, they are in the realm of Ravnica, taking on Rakdos. And when I say Rakdos, not the guild, well, yes, the guild, well, also the Rakdos himself, the Demon Lord. I don't know how it's gonna pan out, so you have to tune in with you have to tune in to figure out along with me.
What's that like, Jesse, to not know what's going to happen in your own campaign?
It's wonderful when I don't know what's gonna come, because as a person who's trained in improv for years, that is my forte.
Same. I will say, if you want to run a game, take a few improv classes, because as some people point out, a lot of people just say yes and, but they don't understand what yes and really means.
Yeah.
Take the classes. I promise it will only help. One feeds the other. And if you really want to challenge yourself, invite these two to your game. If you want a DM on hard mode, bring these two. We've been at this. I'm sorry, I know I keep breaking off. We've been at this for what, about 4 years now. Yep. I think we're starting our 4th year. I started DMing with these two, no clue what I was doing. 4 years later, no clue what I'm doing, but for totally different reasons.
Oh yeah.
They've definitely helped me up my game. Kyle, where can we see you?
You can see me using the 3-question method of world building constantly here on Twitch under Flint Ewid 756, and you can catch me on Twitter at the same time. As well, I run the Vampire the Requiem game every other Sunday, as well as do the Beyond the Spine podcast with Nick, one of our other players. Where we go over RPG systems and break them down for people to introduce themselves into playing them. Beyond that, I create my own special version of chaos here in the United Kingdom, and can be contacted through any means necessary through which you can find me through my social media accounts. So yeah, if you want me to do this just as much, and you constantly wondering how you're going to keep up with me, which, by the way, final plug of the night, Ma Energy. fuels all of our madness. Coming in a variety of flavors, none of the sugar, so none of the crash. Thank you very much.
To polish off a few more plugs, I have a Designed by Human account. You can go pick up some Warp Films merch. I don't have too much Trick Roll merch, mostly because everybody owns their own character, and I keep asking Jesse to make some Gylith, not Gylith. I would love Gylith merchandise, but also some Fricktastic merch, because I do love his Designed by Human shop. He's got
Yep.
the Otter Crumpler shot glasses, and I
Yes.
almost buy some of those. We also, I mean, down below you're going to find different ways you can support us. Buy these people trick roll, buy me trick rolls. I need the trick roll to try to survive them.
Yeah, no, get me trick rolls because I need to roll more ones.
Yes, because you saw what he did with just a few words. Now, now give him a D4 multiplier and see what he'll do. The last place you can find me when I'm not here running my own stuff or on YouTube. I really want to start making more stuff, but I'm also, for the next 6 weeks as of right now, going to be playing with We Are Nerdsmith on our romp through Ravnica, where I get to be the player Jack Lantern, a Damphir rogue who is hanging out with a bunch of chaos magicians. Do you see a theme in my life, people? Because I do.
No, I was just wondering, when does order come into anything? No.
No, I thought that I literally thought the worst thing that was going to happen tonight was Joseph was going to walk up to the king. So, how'd you get him to give you the crown and start a fight that way? No, you guys surprised me in so many wonderful ways.
Yes.
So we're going to end it here. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, in 2 weeks, it's going to be no more story, because the story's been shattered along with reality. Come and see us as season 3 continues with episode 3, the breaking of reality. I'll come up with a better name. I got 2 weeks. I'm sure at some point I'll spend 5 minutes thinking about it.
Current state of reality. Fuck.
Now,
The
how do we
sundering of
make that
sorcery.
all? Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.